Hello, I'm Matthew Waterhouse, and this is the Sirens of Audio.
Sir Brendan insists that I show you these screenshots, which have just been received from our YouTube analytics report. Personally, I don't think he can help us.
Don't you? Well, I received these screenshots you WhatsApped me, Mr. Bunny.
These figures have baffled all the experts. The only reasonable explanation seems to be that the podcast is from some extinct species of Doctor Who fan.
Have you considered an alternative explanation?
Name one.
Well, that it might have originated in local taverns.
My dear Dwayne, if you've seen anything like that before, you must be a very old fan indeed.
Mr. Bunny, how long is it since there were Doctor Who fans together in pubs?
I thought you were the expert in these matters. Well, as a matter of fact, that's one of the things our analytics is trying to discover. It was found obscurely on the internet with, say, 1,900 to 2,000 subscribers.
They might still be clicking.
What?
The likes, Mr. Bunny, the likes. Are you receiving real-time updates?
My superior, Sir Brendan Hadley, has regular access to the studio, shared access and all that.
Good. Tell them to keep a constant notification upon the podcast and to subscribe to it immediately.
You're starting immediately?
Why not? I've got my toothbrush. Remember, subscribe to pod. Could be the best thing you ever do.
Sir Brendan, Bunny here. That chap you called from the Sirens of Audio. Is he quite sane?
G'day audiophiles, this is the Sirens of Audio, the show that explores the universe of Doctor Who and other cult TV in the audio medium. I'm Dwayne.
And I'm Philip. G'day Dwayne, g'day audiophiles.
Philip, how you going? Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. I am going great. There's lots on, lots happening, but I'm well, and I've booked my tickets to the UK, so I've got 6 weeks in the UK at the end of the year, and into the new year, so I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited for you, also very envious, but more excited.
Yeah, that's not what you said when I told you privately. Yeah, anyhow, I'm catching up with lots of people over there. There'll be lots of Doctor Who people I'll be seeing. Got a few other plans as well, which I can't talk about. But hopefully a bit of stuff for the podcast next year as well.
And what is it with Australian podcasts? The Doctor Who show is one of the hosts there is heavily involved with the forthcoming election and more than just the election normally, but you're very involved with the election this week too. So how's that shaping up for you? Busy?
Yeah, that's okay. I work, it's just as a part-time worker, just working for the day. So I have actually worked after the election as well, doing counting. So you're part of people overseas, which is most of the listeners. We have a thing called the Australian Electoral Commission, and they run all our elections impartially and very separately. And so there's all these things we've got to sign. And just part of doing your civic duty is, there's thousands and thousands of people employed all across Australia to run these elections. And so I've been doing it for so many years now. I manage a booth. And I've actually been given the biggest size booth you can get this time, because last time I was so effective and efficient. And just I think the grey hairs give me lots of experience. So yeah, I'll be running a huge booth on Saturday and just making sure the election runs as smoothly as possible.
Any predictions?
Well, all the polls are still saying the current government will stay in power. I think they're going to stay in power with as a majority, though it could be that they're a majority or they may become a minority government, which has happened before. So we'll see what happens. I think it's unlikely the Conservative Party will get in. I think Australia has only ever once not re-elected a government for a second term. So Australians tend to always give a government a second try. As I said, it's only happened once that hasn't happened. So historically, it's most likely that they will get returned. But yeah, we'll wait and see. There's been a lot of gaffes made, I think, by the opposition this time. But the tone keeps shifting. So there was lots of policy early on, but it's becoming very much agenda driven at the moment, and not so much on policy. There's a big discussion on Aboriginal people and welcoming to country. So it's the whole bent of the election is changing slightly. I don't know whether that's a good move or not. The opposition was started by running a very Trumpian sort of campaign early on, but of course Trump's turned very negative around most of the world. So most people don't view that as a positive thing, and so the whole opposition had to change its tack suddenly and go less Trumpian and less popular. But this week it looks like maybe they're going to turn back to the popular vote, and that may have an effect on lots of people. So you don't know what's going to happen till the day. But I'm impartial because I work for the AEC, so it doesn't matter. I have no preference for one side or the other. I'm fully just an impartial person who's there to do my job and make sure the election process runs effectively and smoothly.
Gotcha. Very good. Yeah, I haven't been watching too much news lately. I've seen one or two of the gaffes around, but I remember Albo had quite a few in the last time too. But it came down to people disliking his opponent more than anything, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think yes. I think Dutton has an image problem, always has had, but part of that is because when he was Minister for Health and when he was Minister for what was it? I think he was Minister for
Home Affairs.
Home Affairs. People didn't like a lot of the choices he made. So, but yeah, I spend a lot of my time on Facebook at the moment because people keep talking about both sides are equally bad, both men are awful, and actually saying no, that's not the case. These are both men are men who have given their lives for public service. They have slightly different outlooks and slightly different philosophies and slightly different policies. Because they're not hugely different. There will be some differences depending on who comes to power, but the differences aren't going to be so massive that we're going to feel it. Not in a huge way. And I just keep saying to people, just keep playing the ball, not the man. Just keep looking at what are their policies, what are they voted for, and are they the things that you want to support? And so you just look at, and people keep forgetting that generally in Parliament, 90% of most votes in the Australian Parliament, both sides are in agreement with. It's just that 10% of issues where they disagree, but that's what gets all the media coverage. So, but yeah, generally speaking, all our politicians are there because they actually love the country and they're doing public service. Because all of them could make more money outside of government. They're not on good wages because people complain because they do earn big money, but it's not that they could be making gigantic money because all of them have the sort of ability, talents, skills to be elsewhere, and lots and lots of MPs leave politics and start earning the millions because of the skills they have. So we are very lucky to have a democracy that we live in, and Australia's fortunate. It's compulsory voting, it's preferential voting. It actually keeps both parties more moderate because you don't have to appeal to your base because the base will always support you no matter what. You have to appeal to the majority, and that actually keeps both parties much more in the middle. So they're not being extreme on anything because the extreme will knock out all the middle people. They lose the election. So we're very fortunate that we've got centre left, centre right. Though with Dutton's gone slightly more right because there's sort of been a new party called the Teals, which are 7 women who aren't a party. They're all independents. But that Teal has sort of taken that moderate centre right ground, which meant the Liberals have gone slightly more right. But who knows what's going to happen? But yay for democracy, yay that people get to vote, and ultimately we get what we deserve. So whatever government we end up with is the government we deserve. So for those voting, it's too late by now. Probably when this comes out. Hopefully, this
will be out before the weekend. So
okay. So for those of you in Australia, think about what you're voting for.
I bet you didn't expect to get a commentary like this when you tuned into the Sirens of Audio, but there you go. We're always full of surprises. But of course, not only is there an election coming up, but every Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. on the eastern side of Australia, you're getting new episodes of Doctor Who in this part of the world. And before we get on to the main topic, which is we're going to be talking about some of the recent releases from Big Finish, some of the ones we've listened to, and give our thoughts on those. But before we do that, I want to say a few things about the current series of Doctor Who. And to do that, we need to, you know what, Philip?
No, where are we going to go, Dwayne?
Down the rabbit hole. Let's go. All right, here we are, down the rabbit hole, Philip. And I want to get your thoughts. Because you know I haven't been watching the new series of Doctor Who, but it's always exciting for fans to have that new series dropping. Now, for whatever my reasons are, that's not important. But I'm curious to know, how are you enjoying the series so far?
I am really enjoying it. Every episode this season, I think, has got better. There are still things that are slightly irking me, and I still love the classic series more. But that being said, it's been real moments that have been real obvious. Just really great moments. So the new companion, Belinda, is superb. Like, she's just an amazing actress, and she has really lifted the game. I think she's actually lifted Shooter's performance, because I think people know I haven't been as impressed with Shooter's performance as I was hoping to be. I did love him in Sex Education, but basically he brought the same character from Sex Education to Doctor Who with very few changes and very few different emotional changes or dramatic changes. And so I had not been particularly impressed by his performance. But the new actress, I'm telling you her name is...
Verada Sethu.
Verada Sethu. She has really lifted his game. A bit like Mel managed to lift his game in the last 2 episodes of season 1. She's lifting his game a bit too. She's out acting him by a mile. But the stories themselves have been so much better. So the first one was a very typical Russell T Davies, which I think he tried to do with the baby one in the first season, the Revolution. So it was a bit lighthearted. There's lots of comedy moments. I know a few people were a bit distressed by... So there will be some spoilers. I won't do spoilers for episode 3, but if you haven't watched it by now, there is a cat that dies in the first episode, and it was done in humour. And I must admit, I'm a dog person. I laughed, and you don't see the cat. You just sort of see its outline and hear the zap of it going. But I do know a lot of people were distressed by that. But for me, I thought that was a very funny moment. And as she's being dragged into the spaceship, she just calls out to her neighbour, I think, do you know Maria for number 7? Tell her cat's gone onto a farm. Which I just thought was just a very funny line. But I do want to have any kids that's going, my parents told me our pet went to live on a farm too. But the design was spectacular. The robots looked amazing. It wasn't a huge plot, but it was funny and amusing. It still had a few moments of, I kind of feel like Russell's trolling us. The Doctor started off for the first 5 minutes. The costume was a skirt with trousers, which maybe was kiltish. I'm not sure, but I don't think it was quite. I don't think it was quite a kilt. But it just, I didn't care. I don't care what the Doctor wears, but I do know people would be offended by that. I just think, was there any need to do that? And once again, the Doctor still cries in every episode, and people try. I think nowadays people online just try and justify the tears were justified this time. But it's still, the Doctor just cries too much. Like, I just don't think the Doctor needs to cry in every episode. It's absolutely wrong.
I do have a specific question about the most current episode, because despite me not watching them, I am very entertained by some of the reviews that are out there. So I have been watching reviews, so I know a lot of what's gone on in these episodes. And I do see critics of episodes. Sometimes I might, agree with what they say without even seeing the episode, which is very naughty of me, I know. But there was one criticism of the Well, which I want to raise with you, that I've seen people who want to pick on the episodes have said in criticism of it, which I don't really think is justified. And that is, I've seen some critics say that the Well, which you may think too that it's the best of the season. You've said they keep getting better and better, but they said that the world was just like a copy of other things, and particularly Aliens and Alien 3. And I think I don't think that's enough justification to criticize Doctor Who, because if you look back at some of the more classic eras, you mentioned the classic series. Series 13, one of Philip Hinchcliffe's era, is homages to lots and lots of different styles and specific stories throughout that season, and no one ever criticizes Philip Hinchcliffe for copying something like that. So
Yeah.
I don't think copying something is a justifiable criticism of an episode of Doctor Who, whether you like it or not. What do you think, Philip?
Yeah, I fully agree. I have no issues, and it is a typical gothic, scary Doctor Who episode. And I was scared. It's the first time I've been scared in Doctor Who for quite a long time, and I was unbelievably uncomfortable, really scared. There's a number of scenes that there's jump scares in it, and there was a couple of times I literally jumped because it was sort of, oh heck, even though it's kind of nothing there, but it's just stunning. And there's a action scene which is just horrific, but so brilliantly filmed and directed, and the sets are amazing. I assume they were filming in some sort of factory somewhere, but they actually built the whole set, which is, it just looked so dirty and cringy. So yeah, is it a homage to? Does it feel a bit like the Ood double episode, which I forget what it's called off the top of my head? It is that sort of base.
Impossible Planet.
Impossible Planet. It is a sequel to a David Tennant story, which is one of the best David Tennant stories there is, and it captures that feel and that terror as well. It is brilliantly acted. The acting is just superb. There's a little twist, a brief twist, momentarily in terms of command structure, which once again puts everyone suddenly at risk and in danger. I was on edge the whole time, and even at the ending, you're still not quite sure how it ends. There's a little twist at the end in terms of, is the danger really over or not? It is kind of the Doctor he's left. But is there still a danger for who they've left behind? And there's still timey-wimey questions going on too, in terms of, because it's far in the future, but the people who look like they were people from Earth aren't, and they've never heard of Earth. There is no Earth Empire. There is no Earth. What has happened to time? So in one sense, it's quite possible this whole period will be eradicated time-wise, assuming the Doctor managed to work out what's going on. But it's just little bits like that. But yeah, I mean, Lux last week with the cartoon, the visual effects were just amazing, and the character was so funny and sinister at the same time. It is really capturing Russell T again from his first period. So I don't know quite what went wrong last season. There were some good moments in the first 8 stories last week. And I know some people slam me because I don't think they were the best thing ever. A lot of last year was watchable, but it wasn't never got near the heights of being fantastic. I wanted to talk about it and rave about it. The first 3 episodes so far. Now I know it's all one production block. It makes no sense because I know all the episodes were filmed in the same production block. So it's not like he's learnt anything from the first 8 episodes because he's just continued to write. But somehow he's remembered how to write again, because these 3 episodes have been Russell back to his classic writing style.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm able to fully agree with you on whether season 1 was actually watchable, but that wasn't the point of my question. The point of because what I was doing today was I was listening to Planet Krynoid, which is one of the releases that I'm going to be talking about later, and I always love hearing the extras, and a lot of the time the writers will talk about their influences, and of course the Seeds of Doom was influenced by the 1950s film The Thing from Another World. Of course it was. The same location in Antarctica. And he was also influenced by other movies as well, which I'll talk about later. And I was so intrigued by his influence. It was a movie I hadn't seen, so I went out and I watched the movie straight away. I went, oh, that's where he got that from, and that's where he got that from. So I really loved the way he was homaging, or the writers were homaging certain things in that thing that I was listening to. And there I'm hearing critics go, oh, well, Russell T Davies is lazy and he's pinching this and he's pinching that. And I just think that, especially in Doctor Who, of all things, that is okay to do that. I don't think it's.
Have these people? Have they never watched a Terry Nation story? Every Terry Nation story just takes ideas from other stories and recycles them.
Well, he copies his own.
Planet of the Daleks is just the Daleks. He does he just copies entire storylines and ideas, but it's not about whether the idea's been done before. It has to be done well. And
yes, that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah, if it's been done well, who cares if it's been done before? And a large part of the audience, if this is aiming for an audience of 8 to 15-year-olds is the primary audience they're trying to reach, which I think is kind of what they're aiming for. None of those kids will have seen Aliens or Aliens 3. And come on, I think that's a good example anyway, because Aliens is all about shooting up the things and they're all visual, you see them all. And once again, it's not like there's an alien roaming around that's hunting them down. It's not like that at all. So I don't think that's a good example. It certainly does borrow from previous tropes, but Doctor Who's been around for more than 60 years. It's going to take some of its own ideas again, and it's going to take other ideas and good on it, as long as it's good storytelling. And what I'm enjoying about this year is, at the moment, the first 3 stories have all been good storytelling. And I'm more than happy to sit down and watch a good storytelling. I said, I don't like the Doctor crying. I don't like the fact that I think Russell's trolling the audience a bit. I don't understand why he's doing that. But aside from that, the 3 stories have all got better, and the last one in particular, chilling as but everything's different, and it's just Doctor Who. These are things that would not happen anywhere else. And I don't care if people say it's been done before. No, it hasn't been done before, because this has got a Doctor Who slant to it, and which is what Doctor Who, sort of stuff that only Doctor Who can do, which you don't see on other shows and in other movies.
Yep. Very good. Glad to get your thoughts on that, Philip. You got mine, so I'm not totally cranky about everything. I do think about things as well when it comes to this.
Well, I hope eventually you give in and watch it. And yes, you're gonna.
I might binge them all in one go. Get it over and done within a day.
Maybe. Well, wait till I get to the end and make sure it's worth it. Because if they have a really disappointing ending, I just go, oh no, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
it was like the Flux, where you keep thinking, as long as he ends, as long as he lands, it's going to be good, but then totally fails to land. This might be the same. I think the story's a bit more separate. I mean, I can't stand Mrs. Flood appearing in every episode. I don't care who she is. I know it's going to be disappointing. No matter who she is, I'm going to be disappointed. I know that already, but that's okay. Hopefully he'll land everything else.
Very good. All right, let's crawl up out of the rabbit hole, and we will talk about some of the releases that we've been listening to over the last few months from Big Finish. And I won't read the blurbs. I will just go straight into a trailer for the first one that we're going to talk about, which is Call Me Master, with Sacha Dhawan making his debut for Big Finish as the Master.
Big Finish, for the love of story.
It may be hard to believe, but yes, that's me.
It's a dramatic opening.
Something's wrong. Taran?
Who are you?
So, how do we begin?
We already have. So, your childhood, what was school like?
The fact is, you're going to die. These days, I just compare me to myself.
You monster!
Do your feelings ever manifest themselves physically?
Oh, well, I did spend some time as a wizened husk.
I see.
There is no doubt in my mind that someone in this very building is a murderer. Just when I thought I knew myself, I stabbed me in the back.
From Big Finish Productions, Call Me Master, Inner Demons.
So real, so dramatic.
Step 1 of my plan was to murder the Great Zenith.
And how about a game of badminton?
What if you're the man you need to be?
I mean, if things get too boring, I'd kill them.
Oh! No! 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 Not the face! Not the face!
How that ghastly, vague
You maniac!
Do you ever find yourself comparing yourself negatively to others?
No, not usually.
He's insane!
Clearly deranged.
Some days, you just can't beat a good old-fashioned axe.
What's the name of your true, authentic self? The name that encapsulates who you really are.
You are the most vile,
He's crazy.
poisonous,
He's insane!
Why have you done this? All of this pain and misery, what was it for?
Oh, I don't know. I think I was bored.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
All right, Philip, I haven't heard this one yet. It's one that's been put on the back burner. It's one I want to listen to. I just have not had a chance because we were talking about this before we started. We had Janet Fielding in early March, then we had Matthew Waterhouse towards the end of March. So all the build up to that has kind of put our listening on the back burner. But this was one that you had a chance to hear. So give me your thoughts on this one, please.
Yep, it's 3 stories. Robert Valentine, Georgia Cook, and Una McCormack. So 3 very strong, stable Big Finish writers. I think Robert Valentine also was the script editor for all of them as well. So it has got a nice, strong unit. The Master was an interesting character. I mean, I think he was one of the best things to come out of the Jodie era. Big Finish managed to get him and the Fugitive Doctor, and I think those two characters were probably the 2 highlights. Though I am looking forward to Jodie, and I think I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the 13th Doctor. I'm hoping with some good storytelling, some good scripts, the 13th Doctor might be saved for me. The 6th Doctor, was certainly improved with Big Finish. So I'm hoping for the 13th Doctor revival as well. I think part of what I love about Sacha Dhawan's performance is you're never quite sure where it's going to go. And these are 3 stories that do very similar things. He can go from seeming very sane, very quiet, very intelligent, to quite disturbing. And he can play a really disturbing psycho master, which he manages to do. There's a lot of humour in this, but it's even darker than Missy humour. I love the Missy box sets. I think Michelle Gomez does an amazing job as Missy. But Missy still has a warmth to her. Sacha hasn't got the warmth, and deliberately so. Sacha's master hasn't quite got the warmth. And you sort of know from the beginning this is going to go bad for the characters around him because you can't fail but to do it. 3 really strong stories. I think this is actually worth listening to. So of the stuff I've listened to, if you like The Master, I'd have a listen to it. What else can I tell you? Helen Gold was the directing, and she's done a very strong cast, being able to put strong performances from the cast. Sound design's by someone new, Leon Paris, who I don't think's done much before. Alistair Locke's done the music, but because it's Helen Gold, there's not a lot of music in it. So neither of them have done a lot of Big Finish yet, but I think that their repertoire is starting to increase. So it's a bit of most of the cast really strong. Timothy Benedict's in it, who friend of the podcast. But once again, quite a few new people. Helen's pulled together quite a fairly newish cast who haven't done a lot of Big Finish yet, but they really work well together. Can I say it's really obvious Sacha had a good time doing this? You can actually feel Sacha having a ball recording and being the master. And that is probably one of the most infectious things about these stories. I'm trying to think. All 3 stories were great. Really, worth listening to.
I will show you, my darling boy.
Father? Where are you? Help me! A dream. It was just another bad dream.
No, just a dream.
Father? Father!
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The Third Doctor Adventures, Doctor Who and the Brain Drain.
The whole of time was my playground. To think I should have fallen so low as to share a bunk with a jumped-up...
Well, Doctor, as we say here on Earth, like it or lump it.
Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, unit.
The Doctor is not on this train.
He said he was on the trail of mythical creatures.
In the meantime, unit troops are on their way from London.
There it is again. Look, Brigadier, they're on the shoreline.
If harnessed correctly, this could prove to be the next step in human evolution.
Wait, what's that?
That light in the window.
Yes, but I'm sure I saw... Come on, Brigadier. Let's take a closer look.
By the end, he wasn't sure what was real and what was just in his mind.
I believe it's possible something is drawing these creatures here.
I feel it too, Doctor.
Liz?
Like part of me is leaving.
No, Liz! Did someone say crackpot ideas?
Doctor.
Sounds just like my sort of conversation.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Okay, Philip, we're about to discuss our thoughts on Doctor Who and the Brain Drain, which is the first third Doctor release for 2025. And it comes off the back of the incredible The Quintessence from last October. It's different in that it's set during season 7, so therefore there are no surviving cast members in it at all, with Katie Manning being probably, well, she is the last one that still does Big Finish. And how do you think it stands up with against something like The Quintessence? It's from an era that I absolutely adore, so the season 7 era. And I think it's indicated throughout the story that it's set pretty much after Spearhead from Space, so very early on in season 7 too. Your thoughts?
I should get yours first. I've talked before. My preference now for a Big Finish audio adventure length is about 50 minutes. I think a story that goes about 50 minutes is the ideal sort of time for an audio listening. This is 7 episodes, which does fit in with season 7 because I know there were 7 episode shows. But to me, I think the Quintessence was also 7 episodes, wasn't it? Was it also 7
yes,
episodes?
It was.
I forget.
It was. Unless it was 6.
Yeah, it was either 6 or 7. So that was also long. I actually found that this struggled a bit more, though, in terms of pacing. And first episode, loved it. And then after the first episode, it just got harder and harder. I actually think it was just too long. And I think it struggled with the length, which is unusual to say that. But for me, I just felt that it's kind of meandered around a bit. And so I just sort of struggled. They try to do it. I mean, there's a few things that happen throughout the storyline to sort of change location and change things up to justify the 7 episodes. But I really think, this is probably a 4-parter, not a 7-parter. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. What did you think, Dwayne?
Yeah, I think it struggled early on. There was a couple of episodes earlier where the Doctor wasn't in it. And it's just not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the Doctor. So, they don't have to take holidays anymore. I mean, there was a good reason in the story for the Doctor not being there, but for that long, it just seemed like he was away for such a long time. There are so many things that I like about this story. I like the story itself and the messages behind it, the motives for the characters behind it, in that it was about a family basically trying to get a cure for Alzheimer's, which I think is very touching because many of us have been affected by that. So I was feeling it for that, and I think that's perhaps where Richard James was coming from. Maybe he's had an experience in his own family where that's come from, and he wanted to incorporate that. Of course, this turned into a joint writing project between Richard James and Nick Briggs, and Steve Foxen on sound design. Always loved Steve Foxen. He's a faithful sound designer and musician there. The artwork was fantastic. Sean Longmore. Who else? The cast. What an amazing cast. You've got the Brigadier. You've got Daisy Ashford as Liz. Tim Treloar as the Doctor. I think this one marked 10 years of Tim playing the Doctor as well. But 2 of the best voice artists in Big Finish, Mark Elstob and Glenn McCready, were in there doing their level best as usual. I thought they were fantastic in their roles. The other cast members, not so memorable for me. But yeah, I think you're right. It's just the fact that the Doctor was missing for so long. I think they had a lot of fun when the Doctor returned to the story and I think they were having more fun than they probably should have. It kind of went on a little bit. And it just... I will say that the episodes were 25 minutes, so they didn't drag the episodes on for longer than they had to. So that was, thank goodness for that. But or if they weren't 25 minutes, I didn't notice. I think maybe the last one might have gone for 30 minutes, but most of them were around the 25-minute mark. But yeah, just something just felt missing by the end of it. I just wasn't getting it. And one of my biggest bugbears was the title, Doctor Who and the Brain Drain. I thought it sounded like a silly, childish title. It didn't. It struck me as though it wasn't taking that particular season very seriously, and I thought it was a little bit flippant, that title. But that's my thoughts. There was so many of the ingredients were great in it, but it just didn't quite gel. Went into the Doctor Who oven, but didn't come out quite right, I don't think. Does that make sense?
My guess, and I mean, I don't think we'll find out this. I'm pretty sure this Richard James is he's either Big Finish as an actor. I'm not sure, but this I think is the first time he's actually written anything for Big Finish, and I suspect it wasn't quite working. And I suspect the reason why Nick stepped in is to make it work. And I suspect the bits that Nick worked the hardest on are probably the things that have worked most successfully in the story. But I'm not sure Nick would have had the time to have done the overhaul probably all 7 episodes needed. I said, we'll probably never find out. And I certainly wouldn't ask Nick, or certainly on Mike, how much he needed to step in to rescue. But it kind of feels like it needed rescuing. But I might be wrong there. But there are some good moments in it. But I would certainly wait till it's on sale before I'd buy it. It's expensive to buy, and I don't think it quite. I'd wait for it to go on sale.
I'm kind of ready for some single episode stories as well in a set, standalone, completely standalone, no overreaching arc. Let's just have some standalone stories set with a particular TARDIS team. That would be nice. Yeah. I'm all for the longer stories, but I'm with this one. I'm just slightly tired of it now. So let's do that. And with the first Doctor Adventures too, some more standalones with that particular TARDIS team would be good. Some single episodes stories would be nice. Okay. Let's move on to another release that I haven't heard. We'll throw in a trailer for River Song, Ace and Tegan.
What planet are you from?
Well, I'm from planet Earth, of course. What planet are you from?
From Big Finish Productions, The Worlds of Doctor Who, The Death and Life of River Song, Ace and Tegan.
I'm Professor Dorothy McShane.
Dame River Song, at your service. I've been getting these piercing headaches, like daggers in my skull.
I've had the same, lasting longer every time.
Chronon fallout.
I get the feeling we're not supposed to be here. Like time is trying to fix it by slowly wiping us away.
Oh, that's the TARDIS! You've got rid of the Doctor!
We need to know what we're dealing with.
We've met before.
I've met you before.
The universe is full of strange and dangerous things.
There's a life form it seems to be in the circuits and cabling.
You can't leave these people to die, Ace.
Oh, tell me about it. So, who is Ganley?
Long story.
Dozens of people died, and 2 days later they get up and they're fine.
Who are you?
Doesn't matter. All you need to know is I've come back along your timeline, and now I'm going to kill you.
Time travel in the wrong hands is more than just deadly. It can erase entire civilizations from existence.
Only somebody totally evil would want to stop me.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
And spoilers. That's really annoying. You can't just say spoilers when you get to the interesting bit.
Righto, Philip. Because I haven't heard it, it's one I've been looking forward to because I am keen to hear Ace and Tegan together again after their appearance on television. So tell me all about it.
Okay. No spoilers, but not to be spoilers. River Song very rarely disappoints. Nearly all her box sets are great. And she has it's worth it. This is worth it just for the first 5 minutes. There's an amazing scene with River Song inspecting a spaceship that we know she's going to steal. But this whole conversation she has, and she basically overturns an entire society in 5 minutes. And it is just the most wonderful River Song 5 minutes. And I just smile. I actually went back and listened to it again a second time today because it was just such an amazing 5 minutes. Beautifully written, 2 characters, and River just changing a whole planet society to make it fairer. It's just one of those beautiful moments. But after that, cold open. It's a story of, as I said, River with this time with Ace and Tegan, but it's Ace and Tegan in different different time zones. So the first episode is Ace and Tegan in Victorian London, and they both end up with no real memory of where they've come from. They've got memories of all of history, but not Tegan can't remember the 80s particularly, and Ace can't remember the 90s. What a surprise! But they're aware of the fact that they've time traveled, which isn't bothering them at all because they both know it's impossible. But why aren't we bothered by time travel? Why aren't we bothered by... So there's an awareness that things have happened to them. But both of them are plunged to Victorian England. They've been there a number of weeks before we meet them. Both are investigating. They're both their usual characters, both trying to work out what's going on. And also River arrives as well, just to add to the whole mix. So it's a lovely little story. Ace and Tegan don't know who each other are, but they're aware that they may be sure that there's some sort of connection there. I'm suspecting, I don't know, I actually haven't listened to the 4th episode yet. I've gone into the first 3. I'm suspecting this actually is before they've started working for Unit. So I think this actually may be their first meeting together as outside from their times with the Doctor. I'm suspecting that from here they'll continue to work together. So I think this is actually done as their first meeting. But as I said, because they have no memories, or they've lost a lot of memories until the very end of the story, it's hard to tell that. Story 2 is Ace traveling with the Doctor, and the TARDIS lands inside a spaceship. She manages to step outside the TARDIS. The TARDIS gets whacked outside of an airlock, and the force field goes on, and the Doctor can't get back in again. So Ace ends up being stuck inside this spaceship, needing to save the colony of people with the help of River Song, who's appeared. And so that's a young Ace adventure, which is really a lot of fun. It's a great story. I should just say who these are written by. So the first one is Castaways by James Moran, always does a great job. Second one, Driftwood by Roland Moore. So Driftwood because the ship's just drifting in space and going to crash to a planet unless Ace can save it. Also fantastic. Roland Moore does the second story, which is also now Tegan, now traveling with the Doctor and Turlough, but they've been captured on a planet, and the Doctor and Turlough have both been put into cold storage while Tegan's being questioned about what's going on. So that's how they've managed to get rid of those 2 characters. And once again, by Roland Moore. And then the end is the beginning. So the end is the beginning of the end. Is by James Moran again, who did the first one, which will first one finished with a bit of a cliffhanger, which I'm expecting will be resolved in the second story. So the first 3 are marvelous. River Song is her usual self, charming, funny, slightly immoral. Ace and Tegan can't quite work out how she can be afraid of the Doctor because she does things like is prepared to kill people in cold blood. And she says, well, I'm not the Doctor. And there's a reason the Doctor doesn't like to travel with me. But there's really special moments, lots of comedy. This is a set that is worth getting. So if you love River Song, if you like Ace and Tegan, I love Ace and Tegan getting to play their adult roles. Can I say, this would make a proper box set. The Big Finish have just announced they're bringing out a Sarah and Harry box set, a couple of boxes maybe, with recast people. I guess I'll listen to it, but I'm not excited about that. If they brought out some Ace and Tegan box sets, though, I would be excited about that one, because to me, this is an amazing pairing. They were great in The Power of the Doctor. I mean, they were by far the best thing in that show. And Chris Chibnall actually wrote for them really well. He wrote far better for Tegan and Ace than he ever wrote for his Doctor or his own companions. So they had a great storyline, The Power of the Doctor. Give me some box sets on Ace and Tegan investigating Australia. I'd love that. Australia investigating, in the world, doing their worldwide investigations. I think that could be fantastic. So Big Finish. Forget about Harry and Sarah. Can we have Ace and Tegan?
Adric, you great flaming idiot!
It's not my fault. The Doctor gave me the coordinates.
Doctor, we must get the TARDIS back under control.
Thank you, Nissa. That's what I'm trying to do.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who: The Lost Stories, Genesis of the Cybermen.
Our father's dying, Sylvan. Unless you've become an expert in bioelectronics overnight, then no, you can't help.
Please, Tegan.
If you'd really cared about our future, you'd have learned something useful, but you didn't.
We should prepare for the worst, after all. It could be incredibly dangerous.
Oh. Bravo, what a marvel! And look, the magic box has a magic man!
Yes, hello.
The boy, Adric, said your machine can see into the future. What will become of me? Will I be a good king?
There's only one way to find out, and that's to let your fate decide it for you. I will not show you the future.
Doctor, what's wrong?
Adric, we crashed because there was a planet where we weren't expecting it, yes?
So?
We're on that planet right now, and it isn't Earth. I feel as though I've just walked over my own grave. This is Mondas, and we've got to leave now.
Intruders, stop. Who are you? Why are you here?
What are they, Doctor?
You will answer.
Cybermen.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Okay, now this one I was eagerly anticipating, as were many people eagerly anticipating, Genesis of the Cybermen, one of the lost stories. I will say, on the packaging, they don't put lost stories anymore. None of the packaging has any of the ranges listed on them. It's just a Doctor Who and the title, which is a little bit confusing. Do you find it confusing at all, Philip?
I guess I don't really look at the packaging that much. I guess not. Right. But I mean, in fact, until you just mentioned just now, I've just looked and got the cover and gone, "You're right, it's not there." So I hadn't even noticed. But you would.
As you can see, this old vinyl record here behind me. This is 12-inch artwork for a record from 1969. Artwork is very important to me. So when artwork,
I love the artwork.
Enhances the artwork is fantastic. But the title and what it is also part of it. Although because I just get downloads, I don't see the spine, so it doesn't matter what's on the spine for me. However, that said, this was an excellent story, and interesting that I wrote a piece of fan fiction once upon a time called Genesis of the Cybermen, and there are elements in this that are very similar to my story, in that the family that we're getting embroiled in was a monarchy on Mondas. And so that's what I had written as well. I won't go into my story because I think this one's probably a little bit better than mine. No, not probably.
I'm sure yours was excellent.
Yeah, it was. But it was also dealing with the early, the very, very early history of Mondas before it, because we know it was a twin planet of Earth, and this is only just after it's separated from Earth, and it's heading towards the sun, which I thought was interesting. So the way that story starts with it heading in that direction, because how's it going to get out of there? And this story eventually puts us in that direction. So I thought that was all very interesting, the way that was done. One concern also is when the lost stories come out, you can sort of separate them if they're a lost story from canon, but this one fits in very well with Spare Parts as well. Spare Parts to me is just future, further down in Mondas's history, closer to the present, and because in Spare Parts, the reason the Cybermen were created were used. The main reason they were used was to go out onto the surface and to look after the engines that moved the planet around the universe. So that was the reason for that. But we go even deeper still in Genesis of the Cybermen, the reasons behind the Cybermen being created, and there are I don't want to spoil it because I think this is a really enjoyable listen, and I don't want to give too much away. But I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a great compliment to Spare Parts.
And I fully agree. It's very much my listening, as we had Janet Fielding and Matthew Waterhouse out last month, so I've been very much picking on their stuff. And so Ace and Tegan, this one, and also what we talk about next, has been a focus on those two actors because I just wanted to hear what they've been doing recently. This was engaging the whole time. Bit of time travel in it, which I think happened at an appropriate time to push the story on well. It gave us an insight into how a society can decline fairly quickly, but a couple of decades can do what the damage that can be done in a couple of decades without having to go through it all in minute detail. Because there's a bit of a time jump that happened well at that point. The cast are amazing. I think Peter Davis and Janet Fielding, Matthew Waterhouse, Sarah Sutton are really playing off each other very strongly at the moment. They've all very much got their characters back. There's been times in the past I haven't thought they've quite got it, but it really feels at the moment they really have found those characters, but also given them just a bit of extra depth as well. So they're a bit more well-rounded, I think, than the show was. I think they're serving... Actually, I think both Matthew Waterhouse and Janet Fielding are both being served better by more recent Big Finish stories. She's a lot less whiny and just complaining. She's got a lot more depth to her. He too doesn't make the sort of silly bumbling mistakes. He's got a lot more purpose to it. Adric has a lot more purpose to himself as well. Of course, this had that sort of, we know what happens to Adric in Earthshock. So this had a bit of that future foreboding in it. We know what's going to happen, but none of the TARDIS crew do. So that sort of knowledge that we have as an audience gives a lot of scenes a bit more potency. But yeah, well acted, well directed. It was just a solid listen, and that's that sense of foreboding that you know things are going bad. At the beginning, I think David K. Barnes, who adapted this, he's a great writer.
I was just about to
I love
mention
his stuff.
him too.
Right, he doesn't do enough, but I think he really did a really great job in this. Directed by David O'Mahony, who doesn't is a fairly still new director to the show, to Big Finish, but he did a really solid job. I think we're going to see, hopefully, we'll see a lot more of him because I think he brought a really interesting dimension to how it played and the speed at which the action happens.
He did do Goth Opera and Death World last year as well, so he's done some of these big ones from the last 12 months or so.
Yeah, as I said, he's up and coming, and I'm enjoying all of these he's done so far. Actually, everything he's directed has been good, and he's pulled together once again great cast. Few people that I haven't heard of before, but just the fact that we're getting a more wider cast is great. And Nicholas Briggs, Cybermen voices always solid. It's great to still see Nicholas. Yeah, he was in Robot Revolution doing the robots voices in the first show as well. So yeah, Nicholas Briggs, he really is the voice man. Great actor as well. He doesn't do enough live stuff, but as a voice actor, he's superb.
Yeah. Shout out to David Rucroft as well on music. Because I like David Rucroft's sound design, but this one was split between David on music and Lee Adams did the sound design. So it was all very nice. It's got a totally different feel to it than Spare Parts. So that's what I like about it. It's not trying to copy it. It's not trying to emulate it, but it kind of fits in really nicely. And that's what I like about it. It's beautifully done. So
I agree.
Let's move on to the next story that I haven't heard yet that you're going to tell me all about. And that is, well, we were talking about a 7-part story before. This is a massive 12-part story, but this is part 1. So the first 6 parts. And it's a 5th Doctor adventure called Hooklight.
There is a light that must never be lit.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The 5th Doctor Adventures, Hooklight 1.
A warning to the curious passed down through generations, but few remember the light in question.
A declaration from the Dawn Brides. What is it?
I know what we're dealing with now. Hooklight.
Hooklight? You cannot be serious.
I wish I wasn't.
Hooklight is a dangerous flame.
So it's a temporal Medusa?
You cannot reason with fire.
There are warnings about it in the Matrix.
An Everin lamp from the Hall of Remembrance.
Such a strange glow.
There's something up there. Something in the clouds.
The Night Guard are on the move again. Then let's begin the charge.
Whatever it is, an evil force, it's coming for the lantern.
I don't believe it. Do you see it?
Where the Hooklight goes, the Nightguard will follow.
If the TARDIS stays in the vicinity of that light much longer, she'll be utterly destroyed.
But this can't happen. The TARDIS can't be destroyed like this.
Dr. Kessica Miles.
My name's Triss. I am Davlin Crux.
I am Vandosier.
Will you join me? Big finish. For the love of stories.
All right, Philip. Give me the rundown. What do you think?
Okay, well, having complained about stories being too long, this one's actually working for me at the moment. It's going to be 12 parts long, so this is the first 6 parts. And I did certainly enter it with a bit of trepidation, just in terms of I don't like long stories, and 7 parts. The 7-part one we talked about earlier felt just way too long for me, and this was going to be 12 parts. So far, I am really captured by it. So it's written by Tim Foley. All 12 episodes are going to be by Tim, and we know that Tim is a great writer. He is writing his own world. So this is an epic adventure. I think it's got bits of feeling of Lord of the Rings in it. Like there's sort of
wow.
So you've got the Hooklight, which is, I won't give away too much, but the Hooklight is something that is possibly can freeze time and destroy time, which is
like the Ring of Power.
Like the Ring of Power, and we know where it came from, and it needs to be returned there to be destroyed. So you have got sort of the Ring of Power, but you have this. It's got a gigantic cast, but because it's this epic adventure, all 4 main characters are all having their own distinct adventure in location and also time, because there's actually time features in it. And so each character is getting this really strong role to play because they've all become divided, separated, back together, separated. So it's constantly moving. There's all these parts. You have a huge tragedy at the very beginning, and it feels like you've got the consequences of that dealt with, but I'm not sure whether we have that yet or not. Did they survive? Did they escape before this explosion happened? But you got millions dead at the very beginning. So you've got this huge tale of woe starting things off. You've got, as I say, it is just this massive epic adventure on a space scale. So it's not, it's involving planets and continents and time and people and 2 times, and stuff's going on with Nissa that we're not quite sure about. And you've got the Hooklight in a lamp. It's possible the TARDIS has been destroyed or not destroyed, or is. So there's just all these questions being thrown out there. Now, if they don't put it all together in the last 2 episodes, it's going to be unbelievably disappointing. But what they're setting up is
it's Tim Foley.
It's Tim Foley, so I'm sure he'll pull it together. And maybe we should get him on when part 2 is released to talk about it. But I'm just each storyline is dragging me on, and of course because it's 4 more storylines happening with the main characters, they're bouncing around, and so in each episode, and I'm assuming it was fairly cheap to record because I'm sure they didn't need all the casting for all days. So that's why they managed to get such a gigantic cast. If you look at the cast list, it's really big. But it's because they're interplaying with different cast members all the time. And so, you're following Tegan's story, but then you leave Tegan's story to go to Nissa's story for a while. And then Nissa and Tegan are together. Reason for that. Spoilers. And then you've got Adric's story. And then you've got the Doctor happening over here. And then you've got this other character. who's plays major role as well. So that's by Celia Imrie, who of course amazing actress, playing Dr. Miles. But you farewell her in one scene, and you think, oh, she's only in the first couple of episodes, but then suddenly she pops up again with another Doctor who appears, and so actually, I just realised that's not credited. Is it not credited? Oh, apologies, but there's going to be more. Well, there's more than one Doctor because another Doctor comes into the whole mix as well, just to drive the story on. Just as you think you've got to handle what's going on, we've got another Doctor into the mix as well.
So this is more than just a long story. This sounds like an epic.
It is an epic adventure, fantasy, world building.
Epics can be long.
Yes, it's nothing quite like I think Big Finish has done before. It really, and as I said, you may only have 5 minutes of Tegan per episode, but when you sort of leave her story and move to the next one, you're waiting to get back to that. So it's driven on because you're having all these scenes. You want to, hang on, where's Adric now? And hang on, where's Tegan? And you've got Nyssa falling asleep, and then in another world. And hang on, why is she having 2 scenes why is she with the Doctor here? Now she's with Tegan here, and which time space are we in? And what's going on with this character here? And Sarah Sutton's being used to amazing. Sarah Sutton has a major role in it, and it's just really effective. Adric at one stage is mistaken for the Doctor, so he's playing the Doctor, and so you have an episode of Adric being the Doctor, and then someone decides, let's make him regenerate, which is going to be a bit of a problem for Adric. So there's humor, there's Time Lord lore, there's everything happening. I really can't wait to see what happens in the next 6 parts, and just to see where it gets driven to next. Casted as playing it brilliantly. The main cast is superb, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Wow, Philip, you've sold this one to me. I think I want to start it next.
Well, I really want to know what you think about it. But as I said, cool. It's really driven me on, and I listened to all 6 episodes basically in a day because I didn't want to finish it. I wanted to keep going. Wow. I was on, and he just keeps throwing these little bits in, like when you find out what the lamp they're carrying is, you'll be amused by that. There's all these little bits thrown in all the time, and you go, "Oh, that's clever." And they're kind of throwaways, but those little throwaways are what makes it work well.
From Big Finish Productions.
I think this is it, Maggie. The source of the outage.
The world of Doctor Who.
Well, this one, it's a sphere, about 20 centimeters diameter, green. I think it's organic, like a seed pod.
Engineer, destroy it. Destroy both the pods at once.
Planet Krynoid, Nightfall.
It's the engineer. He's awake.
Piotr! Your skin!
Maggie! They want to kill me.
The infection must be mutagenic.
Are you in here?
What if he's here?
Don't.
Do you think he'd eat us? I can hear the grass grow. Hello, Krynoid.
Krynoid?
Hang on, who are you? Who put you in charge?
I'm the Doctor.
You left those people to die back there.
Oh, please. They were as good as dead already. At least they died quickly, and the Krynoids were deprived of a meal.
Are those teeth marks? What have you done to me? What have you done to me?
It's all right, Mummy. I'm here.
So you're telling me my wife's been abducted?
No, Governor. I'm telling you we've got a mentally unstable carnivore loose in Atrium.
They destroyed the perimeter fence. They've got inside the yard. This whole place is going to hell. If you want to live, you have to run! Now!
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
All right, here's a story that I want to talk to you about, Philip, because I've only just finished listening to this, and boy, has this one blown me away. I went into this a little bit trepidatious too, because it's done by the same team as the Zygon box set that came out a couple of months back, which it was okay, but I wasn't blowing my socks off. This, on the other hand, does blow my socks off. It comes it starts with a warning similar to the kind of warning that you get on Torchwood, saying this is not recommended for younger listeners because of the disturbing
Contains
content.
adult material.
Yes, and boy, oh boy, does it ever. The Krynoids, I can't think of anyone who doesn't like The Seeds of Doom. It is one of the all-time classic stories, because of the horror. It's got all the horror elements of Doctor Who in that particular story.
It's hard to believe in some ways the Seeds of Doom. It's hard to believe Seeds of Doom got away with it when you think about it, because you've got Doctor punching guns and you've got body horror like nothing, and people begging to take their lives away. It really is a horrific show, but boy, it's good.
Yeah, yeah. So this is called Planet Krynoid Nightfall. So I was very glad by the end of it to hear in the extras that there's a second box coming out for this one. So I'm very, very happy about that. Although I don't know how it could possibly come out at the end of it. I don't know what they're going to do, but because boy, oh boy, do the Krynoids leave a trail of devastation in their wake. It starts off. Rhys Shearsmith is in the first couple of episodes, and of course we know Rhys from The League of Gentlemen, and he was also in Sleep No More as well, which is an episode of Capaldi's that I've really come to appreciate more recently after viewing it recently. I've appreciated more than I did on first viewing. But he's in this in a major role, and it starts off with similar to the Seeds of Doom, with seed pods being found on a colony world, and you've got body horror elements there. The first story is written by Jonathan Morris, and it is called Sunlight. So the planet is called Sunlight, and so it starts off on that colony world. We've got Rhys Shearsmith as the governor of the colony, who knows something. He knows something about these seed pods. We've got a doctor who is there, not the doctor yet. The doctor does appear in this story, but not in this episode, looking into the pods and the effects that they are having. And this doctor mistakenly diagnoses what the benefit that she thinks the Krynoid pods are giving to the humans that it infects. And it sort of goes from there. And the sound design on there is really gruesome. So you've got to listen to this with headphones with the sound up, because you'll get the full effect if you like that kind of thing. So I thought, this is pretty gruesome. Yeah, it deserved the warning for that. I had no idea what was to come. The second episode is called Sunset by Jonathan S. Powell. He's the producer and the director and the script editor of the series. So he's got a very large role in this, and I think he's done a fantastic job. Sunset is the episode where the 8th Doctor features, and it's the 8th Doctor on the cover. He's sort of half mutated into a Krynoid, so he's obviously been infected by a Krynoid, so instantly you know that's what's coming. And how is he going to get out of it? How did he get into it in the first place? How did the Doctor suddenly appear in this colony? And that all comes out in the second part of the story. And the Doctor feels that he's resolved things, takes off in the TARDIS, but he sure hasn't, because then it goes into episode 3, which is Darkness by Chris Chapman. Now, this is really bad. I don't know if even Torchwood has done anything as horrific as what we had in Darkness. And Chris Chapman, I think he was very delighted in the extras to be able to do something quite as horrific as this. Probably not so horrific as disturbing as to what they do. I can't say what it is because it will spoil it, but when you hear it, you will know what I'm saying when it is something that many things would hesitate in doing. It's really, really intense because of where this colony happens to be. Bit of bad luck where they decided to pitch their tents, but you will find all that out through the course of the story. It's exceptionally well done. It was gripping all the way through. Similarly to you with Hooklight, Philip, I listened to all this in one go because it just had me one story after the other. It was really, really good. So I recommend you jump onto that one. Give it a listen. Chris Chapman
So Are all three stories in the same location, the same colony,
Yes,
or do we move around?
it's the same. It's the one
Okay.
story, just in 3 parts. Yep. So,
Okay.
Chris Chapman was talking about some of the influences that he had for this. The main one that jumped out at me was Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978 with Donald Sutherland, and he was talking about some of
Scared the life out of me, that show.
Some of the influences there, and when I heard him say that, I thought, I haven't seen that, so I jumped onto YouTube, and you can rent that from there. So I watched that straight away. I went, yes, he has taken many
It's
of
terrifying,
the.
isn't it?
Yes, it is. It still is today. And how old is that now? Nearly 40 years old. Is it nearly 40?
I
or nearly
first saw
50?
that when I was in high school, we used to have film club. And so once a fortnight, they'd hire a different film. And so on Friday afternoons after school, because the school finished early on Friday afternoons, we'd all go in. Those of us who joined, I think it was $10 fee for the year, and they'd show classic films. And one of the films they showed us early on was Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and it's freaked the life out of me. I was probably in year 7 or year 8, and I still have memories and visions of how terrifying that was.
Yeah. It was also, so that was one influence. The other major influence in his episode, the final episode, was the Day of the Triffids, and you'll know exactly why as soon as you get to that. You'll know exactly why that influence is there. And even before I got to the extras and said, this is he's homaging Day of the Triffids here, and of course he was. But that's why I raised the topic during the rabbit hole. Homaging things is okay as long as it's done really well,
Yes.
and this is done exceptionally well. It's one of not that I've listened to many releases this year because we've been so busy, but this is really blown my socks off, this one, and I can't recommend it enough.
Okay, well, I've got one more episode of Ace and Tegan, then I'll hit this one. Who do you think holds the stories together? Because I mean, it sounds like it's a very strong 3-parter that all closely connect to each together. Do you think it's the job of the senior producer, or do you think it's just job of the script editor to hold things together?
Well, I think it's the script editor, because in this case it's Johnny Morris. I don't know if Johnny Morris script edited the Zygon one, but they were doing a different thing with the storytelling with the Zygon one. This is a straight horror story, like Seeds of Doom horror. That's what you're getting. It's just a slightly different location, different people. They're also looking at the lives of the colonists. So the colonists are just people that we can relate to. We get their fears, we get their concerns, we get their ambitions. We can relate to them. So we're relating to these people, but it is a full-on horror. The sound design is incredible. Who's the sound designer? Simon Robinson. So I think he's reasonably new as well, but he does a great job with the Krynoid sound effects. So definitely.
Okay, I mean, I had
highly recommend this one
because I had put off listening to it because I really was not impressed with the Zygon box set, which was, I mean, it was okay, but it was nothing that I'd want to listen to again recently, or yeah. But so I put off because I thought, it was a similar vein.
Me too, for that fact, but I've also been watching a bit of Inside Number 9 as well. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's got Reece Shearsmith in it as well. And so I was and I'd recently seen Sleep No More, so I wanted to see what he was going to do for Big Finish, because I think he may have done a Big Finish once or twice before, but hasn't been for a long time, and it hasn't been many, if any. I can't think of if he's done any. Let me have a look. Let me just see. What else has he done? Anything? No, this is the only Big Finish he's done. So I was curious for that. Plus, it had the 8th Doctor, so the cover grabbed me too. That looked great.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's probably my pick of the 3 that I've listened to would probably be this one.
Okay, I think it'd be the Hooklight or Death and Laugh of River Song. I'm not quite sure which I'd go for. Yeah, anyhow.
They both sound fantastic.
Yeah. So there's good stuff out there, and there's stuff we haven't listened to. We haven't got to stuff. I mean, I can't believe I've not listened to the Fourth Doctor stories. That's really bad of me. So I need to get onto that. I do want to listen to Susan's War, which I haven't got to as well. So a lot more listening, but it's coming out faster than I can listen to.
Got some catching up to do.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So we have been doing not so much listening as we want to. Have we been doing any viewing? Is there anything that you've been watching or listening to that you wanted to recommend before we leave the episode today?
Yeah, I've actually been watching Sherlock again. So the Stephen Moffat series. It started because
what inspired you to do that?
My son had a school assignment. He had to read the Conan Doyle portrait. What's it called? The Lady in Red. A Study in Scarlet is the first Conan Doyle story, Study in Scarlet, and Stephen Moffat redid it as the Study in Pink is the version that Sherlock did. And so because he had actually read the short story and watched the show for this assignment, he and I read the book together and we watched the show together, and I went, boy, this is good. And so I'm now through the first 3 seasons. And when I watched it previously, I'd watch a season and then then it'd be 2 or 3 years, and then the next season. So this is the first time I've actually been able to watch episode after episode one a night. I've been watching about one a night, and the through line between all of them and Moriarty is really strong. And I don't think I'd realised before how strong they all flow together. So I'm just loving the narrative flow, loving Stephen Moffat's writing and Mark Gatiss' writing. The performances are just astounding. I know why these guys have gone on to become major stars now, which is probably why there'll be no more episodes made. I think there was a plan for one more season, but they just couldn't get everyone together to do it, which I can understand why. But Martin Freeman, Benedict Cumberbatch. I was amused. I didn't realise that Benedict Cumberbatch's real-life parents in it, playing Sherlock's parents. I'd forgotten, when Wanda Rentham turned up. I went, oh, that's his mother. Which I don't think I'm not sure I would have known that at the time I was watching Sherlock, which I do now know because I didn't know who Benedict Cumberbatch was the first time this was on. Just thought he had a silly name. So that's what I'm watching. Have a great time. What about you? Are you watching anything? Listening to anything else?
Well, since we had Matthew Waterhouse with us, and he mentioned his first appearances in Big Finish were for Dark Shadows, I was sitting here thinking, I wonder if he was saying that the TV series was very addictive, and I thought, I wonder if it's on YouTube by any chance. I had a search on YouTube, and it's there. And so the first, from 66 up to 71, it's like 1,000 and something episodes. And I just watched episode 1 the other day. Have you ever seen it? It is absolutely gripping. If you go to episode 1, it gets you hooked. Like within 5 minutes, it's like, wow, this is great. And
you're just a soapy lover.
Not as much as you, but it was really, really good. I would highly recommend it if you like a good soapy. Jump into it, gets you intrigued straight away. You don't learn anything in the first episode, but it's just the way it's done is really gripping. You just want to know more. It's just exceptionally good television. So I can't wait to watch a bit more. I probably won't watch 1,000 episodes of it. I'll probably run out of steam before that. But it certainly is high quality stuff, and I can understand why people love it so much.
Okay, I might. I should watch an episode or two. I can get too addicted though.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Do. All right, that'll do us for today's episode. It's been great to chat with you about these. Every time I talk to you, Philip, I get more and more excited about listening to more stuff. You rev me up whenever I hear you talk about these things.
Well, you've got me excited too, so I'm looking forward to getting some more stuff as well.
Excellent. Well, until next time when we're together, all the best, and thanks for being with us, Philip, and thank you all for listening.
Bye, everyone.
This has been the Sirens of Audio, an hour review of 6 recent releases from Big Finish, with your hosts Philip Edney and Dwayne Bunny. Theme music by Joe Kramer. Catch up with all the latest info, including news on our live events, at sirensofaudio.com. Got some feedback? Send your email to sirensofaudio@gmail.com, or you can find us on all our social media at Audio Sirens. Thanks for listening, audiophiles. We'll hear you next time.